Hey, everybody, on this episode of Room for Seconds, you're going to see some old clips. Man, I know, old clips. Yeah, well, we had some incredible guests in our first year, and we wanted to highlight some of the best conversations that we had. Now, if you did not make this list, I'm very, very sorry, and you can go ahead and email my producer because he made the list, not me. But we're looking forward to sharing some of the greatest tidbits from the best people that we had on. Suh talked about two amazing concepts that he recently became involved in, Kinnamōns Bakery and Bay's Hot Chicken. As we went through the conversation, he spent a lot of time talking about what set Kinnamōns apart, using the best quality ingredients and letting customers have fun with it and be creative. He also opened up on how there's a similar structure in the restaurant business to the NFL and finding his place after football.
Obviously, coming back home to Portland and growing up here, wanting to be the fabric of be in the fabric of this community. There's two main concepts that I'm very, very close to. One being Kinnamōns Bakery, which started about a year and a half ago, which is a play on Cinnabon. Cinnabon you can only get at malls and airports, and so I wanted to find a creative way to be able to do that in the urban core and get that to the everyday people that don't want to go to the malls because malls are dying, and then two, don't always travel or are in the airports, and then who doesn't love fried chicken? So Bay's Hot Chicken created right in the heat of the pandemic, probably in 19 and 20, right in that cusp, and obviously went through some trials and tribulations from that standpoint of that being a startup, but it's been doing well. And so excited to have an opportunity to grow both of those concepts and really move forward.
Yeah, Kinnamōns is so good. I mean, it's amazing. And you downplayed it because you're like, it's like Cinnabon. It is nothing like Cinnabon. Nothing. It is so good, so fresh baked. The ingredients are incredible. You build it. So people got to understand, you walk in and you basically get a cinnamon roll and then you add your toppings. I mean, it's so good and so different, and you don't feel sick after you eat it. And I had a lot of them that day, which is impressive. And I mean, so you had something, and the look and the space was designed perfectly. I mean, you really did a good job. You and your team kicked ass on that one.
Yeah. Myself and the team are definitely excited about that one. And we feel like it's sugar, and it plays into everybody of not being on the healthy side of things, no different than ice cream and all that stuff. But if we're going to indulge, let's indulge with high quality products and be able to say, hey, we're going to indulge and have fun with it, but you're not going to feel sick at the end of the day. You're still going to be able to be somewhat energized and moving around and go from that standpoint. So I think that's what we pride ourselves on, having good quality ingredients and at the same time being able to have fun with the different concepts. And especially, I mean, who doesn't love a cinnamon roll?
Who doesn't love any type of cinnamon roll, ice cream, or anything else you can have on that one? It was awesome. Yeah. So as you sit there and you did this and you got into the restaurant industry in my eyes is a lot of failure and a lot of you got to keep going. So obviously you've had your ass kicked several times, and you've not always been the best on the field, and you had to work harder to get there. What translates from the field to now owning a restaurant, owning your own businesses, that you can tell people on how the desire to not give up is no different from between the two, and how it correlates?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's definitely not fun times. One, dealing with employees, I think it's a very difficult market. So employees, I would look at no different than teammates. You love some of your teammates, you hate some of your teammates, and everything in between. But then also you have coaches, you have GMs, you have presidents, you have CEOs, CFOs. So you have the same similar type of structures when it comes to business and it comes to sports. And having those hierarchies and understanding, saying, all right, technically who's in charge, but then also everybody needs to be accountable for their particular roles and execute at a high level. And if you can't, then we need to find a different way to be able to get that done, and also be able to pick up where other people are slack. I'm good at certain spaces. My partners are good at other spaces. And that's how we come together as a collective unit to be able to build and push this forward. And so that, for me, as I've been able to grow over the last 10 years, 15 years of being in the business, it's more so seeing what I'm great at, now finding great pieces and great people like yourself to be able to work with, and then be able to put, honestly, fuel on the fire. And I like to say jet fuel on the fire.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun part, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, when you get to see it go. Filmed in 2024 at the NRA show in Chicago, live from our new food hall, Craveworthy Kitchen, I got the pleasure of talking with André Vener as he shares in deep dives what it takes to build virtual brands. You're going to learn from the man behind Badass Breakfast Burritos.
Well, I'd have to say it started back. God, I'll give my daughter credit. She was 7 years old, and we went to a first grade party at her school, and I went to a parent party and met a friend's dad there from her, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm starting these things called Ghost Kitchens, it's Kitchen United, a guy by the name of Michael." And we ran into each other, and I said, "What's a ghost kitchen?" I have no clue what that even means. And this was 2018, and so 2019 we went in and saw some of them, and it took me a hard time to like process what it was, but basically it was a place where you could, have your concept go into a hall for delivery, and it was for an overflow. So think of Chick-fil-A. They're full, they're busy all the time, so they needed another kitchen to do delivery and catering only. So when I went into that and I looked at that, it was very interesting to see that this is a place for just delivery only. What we did at the same time delivery was really taking off, we looked at our sales in store and saw the percentage of each brand. And it didn't represent what delivery was. People would type in the word Dog Haus and they think of hot dogs. But when you come into a restaurant, you look at our menu board and say dog, sausage, burgers, chicken, plant-based. And so the mix wasn't the same. And so what we did is we created these virtual brands, just marketing, that's all it was, to say, okay, of our chickens section, what are we going to call it? It's called Bad Mother Clucker. Okay, let's make up a name, let's do it for delivery only. And now people who are searching restaurants were searching for chicken, hot Nashville chicken sandwiches, and we'd pop up. Before, we wouldn't pop up. So we created these virtual brands to be another marketing platform. And then we kind of evolved into how, like Badass Breakfast Burritos you're talking about. What does Badass Breakfast Burrito mean? So it's okay, we're going to go after the breakfast daytime, we're going to go to nighttime segment. And so we just really leaned into creating virtual brands, but with our same DNA culture. And I think that's what you're doing. You're creating all these brands, but it's under one umbrella, same DNA, same ops, same team, and creating different marketing tools, different cuisines to fit what the audience is asking for. So, I mean, the first thing when we did is we talked to the 3 PDs and we said, what do the customers want? And they said, okay, they want Chinese food. Well, we don't do that. It's not in our DNA. For us, right?
Say mine.
Yeah, to you it is. But that's perfect.
Right.
That's the number one thing. They want pizza. Well, that's not our DNA. Well, they want burgers. They want this. And they said, okay, we can start working with this. So we stayed true to who we were and created brands based off of our SKUs. And we never went away from who we were. And just like you're doing, you're sticking to your culture, your brands, your customers. And I think just taking a chance of being a pioneer in the space was a gamble, but it seems like it's working for both of us.
Yeah, but I mean, in your case, you did it. Your Badass Burritos went so big, and it started, really boomed COVID. And when everyone was going into the virtual world and all that, and you took off. But Badass Burritos now has basically its own DNA and own branding on its own. It's as big, if not bigger, than Dog Haus.
I mean, it's crazy, but we are now 4 years later, and we're going to build our first ever Badass Breakfast Burrito website. We've never even thought of it that. It just became its own brand. Here in Chicago, we actually came to Chicago. We made the cover of the Chicago Tribune. We thought, like, oh, we're coming here to Dog Haus. Amazing. Our franchisee picked a PR agency from Chicago, and they said the first ever gourmet hot dog to come to Chicago. And the Chicago Tribune just ate us alive. Boycotted us, don't go to this place, shitty California people coming to Chicago. Holy shit, what's went wrong? We did nothing wrong. PR company did wrong. We could not solve it. We tried to recreate it, Chicago Eater, everything. We barely picked it up. The franchisee is an amazing guy by the name of Jesse Kuntz. He is a veteran. He put all his money into the store, and because of the one bad press release that went out, he was dying. And he was dying, and he was dying, and he was dying, and he said, guys, I have to close this shop. We have no chance of making it. I love you guys, but no chance. And we said, hold on. We're working on virtual brands. Just give us one more month. And so we licensed to him before the pandemic virtual brands. And today he's opened his 6th location in Chicago. That store does over $3 million a year, and over half the sales is a breakfast burrito.
It's amazing.
Nobody wants to come to Chicago to the Dog Haus for necessarily a hot dog, but they love our hot Nashville chicken, they love our badass breakfast burritos, and they like our burgers.
Amy Hahn spends a lot of time in this episode talking about the need for mentorship in the restaurant industry. It's something that I believe deeply in as well. And so here you're going to hear about the reasons why we're asking so many of you to become mentors and help others become great in this industry. Those flat organizations allow people to step up and allow people to walk into other areas that they don't allow normally, that then allows them to get to a point where they get to step up into a bigger role just because they got the opportunity to know about marketing and ops. And if that doesn't happen in this industry, you don't get those chances. You have how many CMOs get promoted to CEOs, but how many operators get the opportunity is usually finance or CMOs right now. The operator is being forgotten. There's not a lot of operators that get that chance anymore, unless you're a founder.
Well, then maybe I just need to go co-founding with you somewhere. I'm sure
I can come up with a brand
together. That actually might be fun. But
I'm Greg Majewski, and I've been a multi-unit operator for 26 years. I know how great it feels owning the right franchise brand, but choosing the right franchisor feels even better. At Craveworthy Brands, our hospitality-driven culture sets us apart because we're invested in your success at every single stage of your journey. We're operators alongside you, paving the way forward to give you a head start on greatness. Start your franchise journey at craveworthybrands.com.
I agree with you. There's a gap. And, I think to be, we talk about this a lot at Lead, but to really be great at that CEO and just honestly any C-suite role, even the CMOs that become CEOs struggle with this, is you still have to know a little bit about everything. You have to know accounting, you have to know finance, you have to know marketing, you have to know HR, you have to know how to recruit really well, right? And then you still got to know the ops. And I think sometimes there's not a straight line to it. And you have to understand all facets of the business to actually really get to where you want to go in the industry. So, and then you have to have the advocates for it. You have to have people that say great things about you when you're not in the room to help you get promoted. So there's a list, but it's achievable. And I think it's achievable through somebody sitting down and going through your development plan with you and constantly having those conversations of where you're at, where you need to be. A lot of leaders are too busy right now to do the most important thing, and that is to develop their team. So if there's not a development plan system in place, or they're not sitting down and having those one-to-ones and saying, hey, I need you to step up in this, or show this, or do this better, the company stays stagnant. But if you're having those conversations, those influential conversations, and making those around you better, your job actually gets easier. It's a lot of emotional input at the beginning, but it pays off in dividends towards the end. So I think it's important. And, now I watch leaders and I'm thinking, if I don't want to work for them, like the regional director team or the VP team that I've had, if they're not stepping into that development piece, why would we want our teams to work for them? And I think it's really critical right now because we are losing folks.
100% agree. I just want to point out that I'm drinking Kirkland water Coke. If you'd like to go ahead and sponsor my podcast, here's your opportunity.
You got to call Costco for that.
So they're not going to sponsor. So
never say never. We can call you people. You just met all those people, Lollapalooza. Come on.
Oh, Lala. That was something.
I only saw the pictures. I need to come out sometime. I'm jealous.
I saw one show. I went to one act, and I only went because my son that I had to drive home was sitting in the crowd waiting for me to drive him home. Otherwise, I would have been gone. I would have been in my car and went home. It's so many people. It's cool. But I'm too old to see some of that stuff. Now, I look at my son and I'm like, if I was
never
his
been,
age,
but it's
I would be, yes, there, loving it. And then you see Karen walking through, and it's like, it just doesn't add up.
She thinks she fits right in there. So,
It's
she's
amazing.
she's a legend, man. She loves music and she goes to every concert.
Yes. She was
Yes,
there a
she is.
long time every day. So when you're
I don't know where
mentoring
she gets it. I don't know where she.
and as you're mentoring and as you're trying to
Yes.
build what you're trying to build, the benefits you get from mentoring in your organization, how does that help you? Where does that get your organization long term? Because most people think mentoring should be outside or mentoring is only for the benefit of now. But how have you mentored somebody and it's come back to help you 2, 3, 4 years later outside of when they're at their next job or so on down the line?
Well, let me give you a current, and I hope she doesn't mind me telling this story. I won't say her name, but there's someone that's on the exec team with myself. And she said, hey, you're doing these development plans. Do you mind if, will you do one on me? And I said, absolutely. And so we sat down and we went through it. And, she said, well, I'm having a hard time giving direct feedback to my team for them to get better. And so we had that conversation around having tough conversations. And 9 times out of 10, when you're giving somebody tough feedback, they actually want it. It's just in your delivery and how you do it. There is an art to it, right? It's like the slap with the kiss. It's like, I know you can do this. You need to change your behavior in this or the way you do this or think about this. I believe in you and I'm going to follow up with you in 30 days and see how you're doing. But you're watching that whole team. I'm watching that whole team now show up in a different way and they're elevating themselves. And a lot of times folks don't believe they have decision rights. So having all of these mentoring conversations within your organization where you're allowing folks to show up and you're giving them the approval. And unfortunately, sometimes it needs to happen to say, I trust you, go do the job, come back and just fill me in. I'm here to listen and I'm here to coach if you need some help or you get stuck. And you start to watch these leaders soar, and it's really fun to do. And there's leaders still that are at C-suite levels that are micromanagers. It's never worked, never will. They stay stagnant. The business stays stagnant. We've talked about businesses that do well and don't, and their leadership that's in place. If you look at who they are, sometimes are those micromanaging leaders. So there's always where do they make a bad decision here and there? Sure, but you coach them and they learn from it and they actually become stronger. This is probably 20 years ago. I had a regional director who was going to promote someone, and I knew this person was not ready to get promoted. And she said, I said, listen, it's your team. You decide. If something happens, I'll help you with the situation. Oh, maybe a month in, she calls me and said, I should have listened to you. And I said, no, you shouldn't have, because now you know what great leadership looks like and what you're looking for. So let's sit down. Let's remove this person from the organization and let's find the right person. And now you know what to look for. Had I made that decision for her, it wouldn't have worked out. It would have just been, it's constantly leaning on me for that. But, now she's one of the best VPs in a very large organization that she's just kicking ass and taking names. And I couldn't be more proud of her. So there are external mentors. Like I go to you for mentoring. I go to Karen a lot for mentoring. And so if I don't understand something, I don't feel bad for asking. But I'm not going to sit in the corner and act like I know or not learn and make myself, and hold myself back. I'm going to keep asking and knowing all of you guys. So, I think that there's all different levels of mentorship in life. And I think it is important. And there are people I ran across, which you probably have too. Cause we had the women top 30 tech that Lunchbox had, and we had the dinner, and some of the women there said they've never had a mentor and they don't talk to a lot of folks. And my heart sunk for them because I thought, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be where I am if that didn't happen. So I think it's a gift and we should all take advantage of it, because I do.
Bob and I spent a lot of time reminiscing about our past Jimmy John's experience and why that made us the people we are today, how we learned how to build systems and follow them, how we had an incredible mentor in Jimmy helping us build our careers. This episode teaches you about the importance of auditing and the importance of having faith when you need it, when you're believing in something bigger than you. I've told the story about how we follow our systems and procedures, and that we would all get together and sort of, hey, if a system was broken, we'd fix it. But if not, it was a training issue and we'd go back and retrain everybody. What was the process like in our ops meetings when we wanted to change a system? what had to happen? How did we have to present it? And then how did we finally get things to actually move?
Sure, I'll try to keep it PG. Um, so I think that I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you, but a big part of what brought me into the brand was the fact that Jimmy was leading it. Jimmy had his guy. He has some people in place, but Jimmy would run the ops meeting. So when he was in town, you wanted to be at that ops meeting. And back then we used to dress up for ops. We wouldn't be in uniform; we'd be dressed up. Thankfully, that went away. But we would go in there, and it's now called an issue resolution thing, but it was issue resolution session. We had a different name for it back then. That's where I'm keeping it PG.
I'll say it. It was a bitch session.
It was a bitch session, yeah. And Jimmy's like, if you don't bring a resolution, then you're just bitching. So if you're gonna, don't bitch at me. Give me the resolution that you've got, and then we'll talk it out. And that's really, I think the system and procedures were maybe 2 pages back then. And I remember Chad Ropenik and I would be the loudest ones in the room saying, this one's bullshit. This one's bullshit. We could combine them because we're just trying to. Jimmy's dad always told him, if you can get it on one piece of paper, everyone will read it. As soon as you get past one piece of paper, whether it's 2 lines on the next piece of paper, chances are they're not going to turn the page. And so we're like, why aren't we on one piece of paper? And back then it was simple enough operations. We didn't see why we couldn't do it. I understand now with the level of detail, and I understood soon after that, but it was like we were fighting tooth and nail to get stuff off of there. And then every new person that came in the company wanted to, not going to name names, but they wanted to add things to it. We're like, until you go in the store and you put the key in the door at 5 a.m. and you go through everything we have to do to get the store ready, and you're ordering stuff, you're receiving orders, going to the bank, you're getting back, you're slicing. If you want to add every one little line to that, that's adding time to it. So you can't empathize with me if you're going to just put lines on it. And so we would just go back and forth, and Jimmy would just sit there and listen. And more often than not, if you played your case really well and you tied it into operations, you're going to get it added. But you said some though. You said in a lot of those, and it's like, yeah, this is the war room. Really, that's really what I looked at it as a war room, because the door was shut. We could say whatever the hell we wanted. When we left the room, we were all good again.
Yep. There was no positions when you were in there.
No.
Which was what made us special.
Yeah, it was like carving it out of stone, carving those things, and carving those systems and procedures. So it really helps that I was, and I'm blessed to have been in that room, because when people have a question on something, on how something's written, I can go back in my archives and say, this is why it's that, because you don't just tell them you tell them why. And then you get someone for life knowing how to do it. And then they can train them. That's what we always call training the trainer. So,
yep. And we did it over and over again. And then when we found somebody that was special, and we had lots of them, we tended to find ways to give them more.
Mm-hmm.
And not just more, but reward them with things that nobody would do,
right.
To make them part of the family and know what they were going through. So we continually knew what everyone on the team was fighting and going through, so we could help them in every aspect of their lives.
Yeah.
And it was just so unique and so different, and I mean, the stuff that we got to reward people with were just crazy and so awesome that we did it.
Yeah, and there were trips, there were trucks, there were watches, always some nice checks, and people
there was teeth, there was IBF treatments, what Jimmy taught me more than anything, him and my dad both, is that if you treat people and exceed their expectations and are there for them when they're hurting and help them because you can, one, you'll get a team that's extremely loyal to you so you can continue to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But you make if they're not worried about their lives at home, they're more focused to kill it for you when they walk through the door. And I mean, we were overpaid. We were overpaid for our age that we all were. We weren't overpaid for the jobs that we were doing, but we were overpaid for the age that we were, because we were over promoted. And we got an opportunity that our home life was always taken care of because of it. And then we were able to go and do these stupid things because we knew we were going to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that to me was the most magical part of what made us so special. Because you always knew, no matter what, someone was going to step up and help us.
Yeah. Jimmy is, I go to bat for him, and he doesn't, I mean, he doesn't know this, and I don't really put it out there, but when people are speaking stupidly about, his hunting, this and that, or they want to give a bad name to somebody, I was like, you don't know him. See, he's the most generous person. He's one of the most generous people I've ever met. And I've been blessed to know him, at least for a portion of my life. And he's had a big impact on me. And it's not because of the promotions I got or anything like that, but it's because he was there at some of my lowest points of my life, to help just as a friend. And he didn't have to. He's founder of a company. He could have been doing whatever, but he took the time to be there for me. And then just to be there for life stuff, and just give you time off where he didn't need to. I never expected time off for stuff. It's my job. I'm going to do my job. But just, the trips and all that stuff, that's all well and good. But it's just, like you said, how it really made you feel like a family when he was there. And he was the patriarch of it. And he would take us up to Wisconsin. He would open up his family's compound up in Wisconsin, and we'd go up there, and he would cook for us. I mean, who does that, right? He'd cook for us and party with us, and we just shoot the shit around the fire until and drink whatever the hell he was putting in the mixer, and we would drink that, and it was just fun. Just kick back, good, next morning go out on the pontoon and just putter around. And really, I don't think I got any phone service up there. So I was kind of stressed for the first couple of days. He's like, Bob, just kick back, relax. You have to learn how to do that. But I mean, it was just really nice to be able to do stuff like that. And that impacted me a lot. Just not the actual doing it, but just knowing that he was there and I could consider him a friend.
In this clip, you're going to hear from Sam as he talks about what drew him to Big Chicken. Oh, of course it was Shaq, right? His passion, his desire to build something outside of the restaurant industry. But what else drove him to it? Obviously, I thought it had to be the food. Let's find out what Sam says.
So mad at Jimmy John's right now because we're now letting DoorDash deliver our DoorDash orders. And it irks me that we're running from what we were, which was freaky fast. We can't be freaky fast when someone else is delivering our product. So don't get me started on that one.
I mean, you guys mastered it. You understood the economics of it, driver insurance, how to recruit drivers, how to get them motivated to get in the car and go do it. I mean, all due respect, you guys nailed it. You guys wrote the book on freaky fast delivery. I mean, I think you guys probably took some learning from Domino's because, that whole guaranteed
I will not comment on that.
What?
I will not ever comment on that. All right. So then you got an opportunity to go work for Big Chicken. Obviously, Big Chicken is a hottest brand of the year at Fast Casual, top 100. This past year, dethroned Dave's, so back-to-back chicken brands. What was that opportunity, and what attracted you to that opportunity? So obviously everyone can say, and I know your first words are going to be that, but there was more to this brand. And now this is where what I know about the brand is going to come out, because I'm going to make you talk about the other stuff. What else attracted you to the brand? What was intriguing about the opportunity?
It was an opportunity when Josh Halpern called me and said he was looking at this and showed me and asked for my help and showed me his deck for the CEO role. And we've talked about things for the last decade of working together and being able to put my own thumbprint on something. Because when Josh and I came in 3.5 years ago, there was no FDD, there was no franchise. It was a great chicken sandwich, fries, and a shake, and this giant cookie. And that was it. And we had the opportunity to draw out the whiteboard ourselves and look at it and really go into this uncharted territory with a celebrity owner who was vested in the business. It wasn't just a signed check, and really create the strategy, but then go and say, all right, we've got planet Earth and beyond to figure out what we could go do with it. And we were limited by our own creativity at a certain point. And then we just, like any celebrity inside a brand, we just got thrown curveballs along the way. So we got to really test and engage ourselves on how could we develop, grow, and move with all these different curveballs. But it was an exciting opportunity, right? Where I had been an entrepreneur like you. I understand the importance of putting your name on a paycheck and what that means to 15 people in a singular restaurant. Well, what does this mean to create an opportunity for others and leverage what I knew? Because I had never met Shaquille before. Yeah, I've seen him at basketball games, but never sat down and had a conversation with him. And this was so much bigger because he wasn't doing it to go make the next $1 billion. Like the amount of shares he's given to family members and other people in his circle to help them. This was really designed to help others. And to be along on that ride was so intriguing, right? Because where I was with Firehouse and the RBI acquisition, it pivoted what I was going to do in my opportunity. And, sometimes the universe does things, and the universe brought me this window and door, and I decided to walk right through it and say, what the hell? Let's you and I, we've done some cool things in the past for the military and Anheuser-Busch and the association. Let's go see if we can do the same magic for franchisees and for the big man.
Okay. So Big Chicken, when you joined, had how many restaurants?
It had 2 corporate locations.
And after you guys started your FDD, how many stores did you sell that first year?
First year stat, we were over 100 the first year.
And where are you at today?
374 signed.
And how many countries?
5, 6, 7 countries currently. And the one thing that we can proudly say is we are the only intergalactical restaurant brand. Yes, I see you rolling your eyes, but in 99 years, there will be one outside of this planet, and it will be steak Big Chicken first.
Hey viewers, thanks again for supporting Room for Seconds. If you found this episode inspiring, interesting, or any bit informative, please hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom so you never miss an episode. In my 26 years in this amazing industry, I've been blessed with incredible mentorship. This show is my way of giving back. Follow me on LinkedIn, search Greg Majewski, on Twitter, @Greg_Majewski. If you still have room for more, visit our website at media.craveworthybrands.com. You'll find more videos, shows, notes, blogs, resources, and an easy way to get in touch with the Craveworthy Brands team. I'm your host, Greg Majewski. Thanks again for tuning in to Room for Seconds.